And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 75 of a Druids Dozen. Now, my name's John. I'm known in certain circles as the Rock Druid. Do a couple of radio shows. There's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio, 93.2 FM in Bristol, and the Rock Druid Show on the astroradio.earth channel. And yeah, this is the 75th edition, this one, but it's been a few weeks since I put one out. Basically, I had a bit of a family crisis on. There was family illness and that, and I had to go away from Bristol, where I live, down to Devon to help look after my elderly parents, who were far from well. Glad to say they're both making a recovery, and I'm back in Bristol, so I can pick up the Druid. And the radio shows and everything else that I do that's been on suspension for the last couple of weeks. Yeah, basically, I normally wave a dozen albums in front of the camera, but because of trying to catch up with everything, times are on a bit of a tight schedule this week, so something a bit different. I'm looking at some new wave of British heavy metal singles. Well, there's a couple that only very loosely new wave of British heavy metal, but you know, bear with me, I'll explain. But we're going to kick off with this. There we go. This is Take It All Away, the debut release by Girlschool. There's the front of the sleeve. There's the back of the sleeve. If I pull this out, there we go. It's on the City Records. It's which is a French label, and the B-side is a track called It Could Be Better. And yes, there is actually a run out groove message on this, but yeah, I haven't got I still haven't got that magnifying glass I was talking about to read it with. So yeah, if you can get hold of a copy of this, then have a look for yourself. Yeah, basically, Girlschool should need no introduction. Yeah, very important band, not only musically, but also for the kind of acceptance of women in metal. Great party, sort of boogie band, still going on strong to this day. And this was their first release, snapped up by a French label. I only did this one single for them before being signed at British label Bronze. Take It All Away was later on their debut album Demolition Boys. But the B-side, I think, what was it called again? Yeah, It Could Be Better. If I remember rightly, remained a unique tracklist single. Don't know if it's had been reissued as a bonus track or anything, but quite a rare track. It's not a classic Girlschool track, Take It All Away. It's one of the weaker tracks on their on a Demolition Boys album, but I can understand why they did it, because it's probably one of the more commercial tracks. And yeah, it just interestingly shows you the very early days of a band that was to go on to great things, and are still doing great things to this day. Yeah, first one, Take It All Away, Girlschool, their debut single. Okay, this is one of two that is technically not new wave of British heavy metal. Sleeve on this one is very dog-eared because it is very old. This is End of the Day by Atomic Rooster. There's the front. There's the back. Whip this out. There we go. Polydor Records. End of the Day with a cut called Living Underground on the B-side. Now, Atomic Rooster, band have been going since the late 1960s. Famous for giving us Carl Palmer from Amberson Lake and Palmer, of course, and a couple of quite substantial hits they had in the early 70s. The Devil's Answer, Barnstead, and a couple of others. Great band. And I got into Atomic Rooster via this single. I had a mate of mine that was in some record shop somewhere. Can't even remember where it was. Considering this came out in 1982, the chances are it was Rival Records in Newport, something like that. Replay record, I can't remember. There was a good record shop in Newport. I was down there with a mate. And we were flying through some singles, and there's a new Atomic Rooster out. So, as you could in those days, I asked the bloke behind the counter to play it. And I really liked it. It is great. It's got that classic Vinnie Crane organ lead. Da 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 bam bam ba da da bam bam ba da da. Yeah, John DeCan's vocals. He's got that kind of strangled Dan McCaffrey kind of delivery on him. Tied in with a guest performance from Gillan bass player Big John McCoy on bass here. It makes for a cracking track. Turns out this was a one-off single they did. They did have a couple of, look, a lot of these kind of classic bands from the early 70s. The new over British heavy metal movement did throw some of the spotlight back on some of them. And Atomic Rooster, I don't know if they reformed or just kind of jumped back into the spotlight. I can't remember exactly. But they did bring out a couple of albums back then. And this one-off single. Pretty good. Apparently it is on, I know it's on various compilations, because I've got it on an Atomic Rooster compilation CD. So, but, nice to have the old vinyl, even if it has suffered from being dragged around. And when I used to DJ using vinyl, this used to come with me a lot and get played a fair bit, and hence it's a bit battered, but still a great record, and the record's still in good nick, even if the sleeve's a bit dog-eared. Atomic Rooster, End of the Day, 1982. Okay. Next up we have this. This is a double single pack, and it's Too Many People coupled with The Lion's Share by Vardis. And if I pull this out, there we go. Logo Records, 1980. There we go. Anything on the run out groove of this? Just a catalogue number. And but it does have double single, extra kind of double single pack with tracks called Dirty Money and Blue Rock I Miss You, which are non-album tracks. I can't even remember which album Too Many People comes off. But Vardis, Yorkshire band, heavily influenced by people like 1980 this came out, by the way, heavily influenced by the likes of T-Rex and Hookfoot, etc. More kind of on the more kind of rock and roll end of the new wave of British heavy metal. Great band who I've got a lot of time for. I managed to, over the years, amass quite most of their back catalogue. Got all the albums now. Couple of singles missing from the set, but I can't. Like I said, I can't remember exactly what album this one comes off. I think it might be 100 Miles an Hour. Or it might be The World's Insane. I don't know. But anyway, there's Vardis on the back there, should you require a look at Vardis. And basically, just four great little rock and roll numbers. I prefer, to be honest with you, I prefer The Lion's Share, the B-side, to the A-side, Too Many People. But that's just me. Vardis singles are quite collectible. I'm not saying this is hideously valuable, but I have seen copies going for upwards of £10 on eBay and that. So for the double pack version. So yeah, a good one. Check out Vardis; they're great. Okay, next up, one of my all-time favourite songs. Excuse me, I just need some liquid. One of my all-time favourite songs, this. This is Grand Prix, Keep On Believing. That came out in 1981. And is one of the least hit singles in the UK chart history. When this got released, the British UK singles charts was the top 75 sellers. This spent 1 week at number 75. I think Angel Witch with Flight 19 managed a similar kind of fate. But anyway, there's the front. There's the back. I'll get this out. There we go. RCA Records. This particular copy is a bit surface scuffed, purely because ever since this single came out, it's, as I said, it's been one of my all-time favourite songs, and it has been played lots and lots and lots. Yeah, off Grand Prix' second album, There For None To See, written by keyboard player Phil Lazen. It's not a power ballad, it's a big uplifting power rock track. Grand Prix very much in that old Uriah Heep vein. Not surprising that Phil Lazen is now the keyboard player from Uriah Heep. And, you know, it's one of those songs that you can put on when you're feeling a bit low, and, you know, someone that suffered from depression most of his life. This song has kind of perked me up through some pretty dark periods. Of course, keep on believing that you're someone. Keep on believing you can carry on. You know, so no matter how much you feel down, if you just keep believing that what you're doing is the right thing, you know, it'll help you get through. Great track. The B-side, Life on the Line, which is, if I remember right, is a non-album cut, is pretty sweet as well. But that Keep On Believing, great track. This single has been officially retired from playing now, because I have the CD copy of For That None To See, and well, Keep On Believing's on there. Life on the Lines is a bonus cut. So yeah, it's retired, but every so often I'll get it out and look at it and go, yep, you got me through some tough times. Yeah, Grand Prix, Keep On Believing. And a quick, if Phil Lazen or any member of Uriah Heep does actually get around to see this, why the hell haven't Uriah Heep done a version of Keep On Believing? They could do a storming version of it. So Uriah Heep, guys, if you ever see this, on your next album, please. Anyway, moving on. Okay, from one extreme to another. Here we go. All Right Now with the double A side with The Mark of the Beast by Handsome Beasts. 1980. Came out, Heavy Metal Records. Catalogue number Heavy 1. This forgive me, I've not COVID, I've been suffering from a cold the last couple of days, and it's still rattling around a bit, so you know, and I've run out of Fisherman's Friends, so sorry about that. Yeah, the first ever release on Heavy Metal Records, one of those indie labels that went on to define the new wave of British heavy metal. And this is a classic cut. There's the label, there's the disc itself. There we go. It's two storming cuts. This is this is one of two singles I'm going to be showing you today that, to me, helps sum up the new wave of British heavy metal. Handsome Beasts, bunch of lads got together, you know, doing quite well for themselves. They formed in the late 1970s, got grips up the new wave of British heavy metal movement, become 79. Built up a cult following around Birmingham, where they came from. And basically, them and their manager, a guy called Phil Ashton, got together, formed their own record label to release their stuff, and then they got signed some of their mates' bands, and went on to become one of the most important sort of indie labels of the whole British heavy metal scene. Two cracking tracks. All Right Now is probably my favourite of the two. There's a hue and cry on the street, sounds of voices raised in heat. I see this, I see the times, the youth are rebelling and it's about time. Don't you know there's going to be a riot. Great stuff. Came out of a period in the UK history when, there were riots virtually every week. You can name, there was hardly a city in Britain, Bristol, London, Birmingham, Handsworth, Bristol and St Paul's, that didn't have major toxins in Liverpool. Rioting was the result of Maggie Thatcher's government and police brutality mainly. Caused some pretty serious civil disturbances. All Right Now reflects it. The Mark of the Beast, maybe not quite a strong a track. It's if more music moves you, it's the Mark of the Beast. It's kind of the Handsome Beast. It became their theme song, along with a track called Local Hero, which was their follow-up single to this, which I have got in the racks over there somewhere. Classic. Quite collectible. Not saying this one because the sleeve's a bit dog-eared, although with most of these, the vinyl's in pretty good nick. But a really good condition one of these on eBay will set you back north of 40 quid. Even this will be worth about 20. So worth tracking down. I think both of these tracks are on the mid 2000s CD issue of their Handsome Beast Bestiality album, but don't quote me on that. But digital copies are available online. So Handsome Beast, All Right Now, Mark of the Beast, 1980, absolutely classic. Okay, another double single pack now. There we go. This is Diamond Head, In the Heat of the Night. There's the front. There's the back. Open it up. List of UK tour dates. There, they played the Bristol Colston Hall on Monday the 9th, 1981. 9th of November. Yeah. Sadly, I never saw. I didn't see Diamond Head back in the early 80s. I had to wait until they reformed in the early 90s before I could catch them live. Although I've seen them live a few times since, and my band Alien Stashin have had the great privilege of sharing a bill with them at the Foreign Forge Festival a few years ago. But anyway, there's a whole load of kind of sleeve notes there from Sean Harris. Lead vocalist there, and there's the disc. And I'll show you the other disc as well. It's the same kind of thing, Diamond Head logo and printed label on that side. Heat of the Night comes off their first official album, first major label album, second album in total on the Borrowed Time album. An album that kind of divides opinion. Some of the people that turned around and said Diamond Head did their debut album, just called Diamond Head, Lightning for the Nations, the White Album, whatever, and everything else after that is pretty naff. I think that personally, I'm in the other school of thought that thinks that that White Label album, very good debut release, laid out a lot of times, but they were a band that matured. And yes, maybe Borrowed Time and Not the Canterbury wasn't quite so heavy metal, but as a rock band, they really matured. By the time, Canterbury's one of my all-time favourite records. But anyway, this is from Borrowed Time. Heat of the Night, the lead single off it. Like many Diamond Head cuts from that period, vague references to Michael Moorcock and Ulrich. A good track. So it's quite a ponderous, kind of slow, sort of like slow grinder of a song rather than something out and out headbanger, but I still really like it. There's 2 other live cuts on here, Play It Loud and Sweet and Innocent, which are more your kind of earlier Diamond Head up-tempo headbangers. And then there's a 14-minute long interview with Sean Harris and Colin Kimberley, which is the vocalist and the bass player, talking to Tommy Vance in June 1982 on the Friday Rock Show Radio 1, which is quite interesting. The guys are quite young, they're quite enthusiastic, and my favourite bit is where they go, "Do you like the logo, Tommy? The great logo. I designed the logo. Even Rodney Matthews likes my logo." Which Rodney Matthews did a lot of the album, did all the artwork for the what do you call it, Borrowed Time album. But anyway, it's a good fun listen. The availability of these tracks digitally these days, don't know. Obviously, Borrowed Time album's out, and In the Heat of the Night it's on there. The live tracks in the interview, I don't know. You might have to track down this or see if you can find it digitally. But yeah, interesting listen. Okay, next up, another single that to me actually screams in your British heavy metal, and probably the rarest thing I'm going to wave in front of you today, or one of the rarest things I've waved in front of you on the entire run of these Druids Dozens. Here we go. This is Out of the Vengeance, double A-sided with Heavy Metal Rules by a Cardiff band, Nightime Flyer. I think they're Cardiff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but anyway. There's the front. There's the back. There's the disc. Red Eye Records, the only thing that Red Eye Records, I'm not, as far as I'm aware, the only thing Red Eye Records ever released. Suspect it may have just been a front for the band's own releases. As I said, battered sleeve, very old, but still quite collectible. There's an interesting thing on the back here that says, "Please note, due to the length of the tracks on this recording, the cutting level has to be reduced to below average values. To obtain maximum separation for the individual instruments, it is therefore recommended that this recording to be played at very high volume levels," i.e. play loud, motherfuckers. Yeah, and all the other kind of heavy metal cliches. Recorded November 1979, came out early the following year, and I think this record is simultaneously the worst and best of the new wave of British heavy metal. Worse because I've got to admit there are places where these 2 tracks are terrible. There's, I think someone should have introduced these guys to the concept of tuning up in places. Some of the tuning is awful, almost painful to listen to. There's backing vocals are kind of, there's a bit where there's a ah bit comes in, and someone comes in on the wrong note and then cuts it off, but it's not been edited out of the recording, so they've got this which is hilarious. There's the 2 tracks, Out of the Vengeance. You got and Heavy Metal Rules. They talk about stomping around the stage like a man possessed. The symbol of my power is a sweat on my chest. That's why heavy metal rules, heavy metal rules, heavy metal rules. It's cliched, it's cheesy, and I bleeding love it. I have digitalised this particular copy. Like I said, the sleeves are a bit battered, like I said, because I've had this since, well, not when it first came out, but not long afterwards. Got it from a deletions rack in some record shop. There's a little deletion mark up there. And I just picked it up on the off chance and thought, absolutely stormy. Yeah, this single is now legendary. There was apparently the band also recorded an album that was only kind of available as a demo cassette at gigs, which I've not heard. Very, very rare thing. This single, a mint condition one of this. Now this is the original pressing. It did have a second pressing that's actually got the Nightime Flyer logo in red emblazoned across the cover there, and then there was a bootleg pressing as well, came out in the early 1990s. This is an original one. If this was in perfect condition, you're looking at £80 to £100 plus. This condition, I don't know, maybe 30. Like I said, the record's in really good nick, just that these sleeves are a bit dog-eared, and providing replacement sleeve for this is going to be tough. Only about 2,000 pressed apparently on the first run. So yeah, this is getting your hands on a copy of this is going to be tough. Although if you just want to hear the music, there are digital rips out there in the wild, and you can both tracks are on YouTube ripped, so you can have a good listen. And apparently these guys are kind of a bit legendary, so we salute Nightime Flyer for being the epitome of the new wave of British heavy metal. Guys doing it themselves, punk styling. Okay, next up we'll have a pick disc. Yeah, I've got quite a few picture discs. It's the only one I'm showing today. I'll get this out. It's got a bit stuck in the sleeve. There we go. There we go. This is Demon, One Hell of a Night. 1981 from the album Night of the Demon. And that is Dave Hill, the vocalist, in his Night of the Demon costume on the front there. Now, Demon, band out of sort of Leek in Staffordshire. Did a couple of concept albums in the early 1980s, Night of the Demon, and then was it The Uninvited Guest? Unexpected Guest, sorry. Yeah, Unexpected Guest, sorry. Very much kind of in the kind of not black metal, but kind of horror metal. Took a lot of inspiration from the English ghost story writer M.R. James, apparently. Although subconsciously at first, and then kind of Dave Hill started reading like M.R. James and that, and he can see the kind of thing. Very, very great albums. And then I had a great privilege of interviewing Dave Hill for the BCFM Sunday Rock Show a few years ago, and he was telling me that by the time their second album came out, they toured quite successfully, and they were playing some of the biggest venues in the UK and across Europe. Came back and found themselves on the dole because their record label had gone under. So they got quite angry, and him and the Mouse Spoon, the guitarist, sat down and wrote the classic album, The Plague, one of the first prog metal albums. But anyway, this goes back to their debut album when they're still very much heavy metal, very much still Motorhead banging. One Hell of a Night, a track that's still in their live set to this very day, because Demon's still an ongoing concern. An absolute storming, head banging party number. You know, set them up for another round. We'll drink all day, and when the morning comes around, we've had one hell of a night. Storming track. Into the Nightmare, a big, slow, kind of majestic number, lifted from the horror side of the album, because the first album, one side just rock and roll, the other side's horror. Absolutely storming. I've got to admit, Night of the Demon isn't my favourite Demon album. That will probably be The Plague, but it's still Demon, it's still classic, still one of my all-time favourite bands. This picture disc, I've seen change hands for about 10 to 15 quid. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a bit less. This is virtually unplayed because I've got I brought this at the same time as I brought the original picture sleeve and kept this virtually unplayed. I don't think I've ever spanned this on the deck, so it should still be in mint condition. So anyway, not for sale regardless. You can make me an offer and I'll say no. But anyway, Demon, if you haven't never come across them, and you like your new British heavy metal, check them out. They are brilliant. Okay, next up, something towards the end of the new British heavy metal period. And again, battered sleeve. This is Falling by Tobruk, with a cut called Like Lightning on the B-side. Parlophone Records. And again, this sleeve is, again, a bit of surface scuffing on this, purely because back in my live DJing days, when I used to work off vinyl, this used to come with me a fair bit. And especially in the 80s, used to get played a fair bit, because it is a great track. And although it was never much of a big hit, was a bit of a favourite at rock discos back in the 80s. So, yeah, hence the reason I got it. Now, Tobruk, can't remember exactly where they were from, but they were part of the later period of the new wave of British heavy metal. They did one album, as far as I'm aware. It came out in 1985. It's pretty good. This is easily the best track off the album, and the one they're famous for. They even managed to play this on kids' TV. I can't remember the name of the TV show, but it was filmed at somewhere like Alton Towers or maybe Thorpe Park, one of the theme parks. And you'd have these bands on these platforms, scissor lift platforms that went up and down. And there were a load of because what's his name, Neil Buchanan was involved with a lot of these kids' TV shows, and he had the contacts with the rock scene because of his Marseille connections. He used to get some bizarre bands turning up on some of them, and Tobruk turned up. I think they did not Saturday Superstore or Swap Shop or something like that as well. But anyway, didn't chart, but left this great floor filler of an album. Beautiful kind of heavy keyboardy, bit like what Val Wow would later do, a Japanese band. But yeah, great track from a great band. Should have been a massive hit. It wasn't, but still a great song. If you haven't, worth checking out. Check out the albums. Check out everything they did. So I did one album, a couple of singles. That was it, apparently. Anyway, another track from the similar kind of era. This was 1984. This one. Here we go. Rock and Roll by Spider. Oh, this band always put a smile on my face. There's the front. There's the back. There's the disc A&M records. Now, Spider, Sheffield band, if I remember rightly. Maybe wrong, but I think Sheffield. Were yeah, you think of new wave British heavy metal, you think of bands like Maiden and Sax and that distinct sound. But, you know, like I keep saying, new wave British heavy metal wasn't really a particular genre or a sound. It was a movement. And it incorporated many forms of rock. I mean, Grand Prix, Uriah Heep-esque type stuff. Yeah, Demon started out pretty mainstream, then started experimenting with prog metal. You had elements of prog rock and glam rock with bands like Girl and what you call it, Rothschild. And then you had bands like Spider, who took their cue purely from Status Quo and Slade. They had the Status Quo 12-bar boogie sound, and they had Slade's kind of, you know, sort of like rock for the boys rock, kind of party, kind of sentimentality. This is a track from Rough Justice, their second album, or both tracks lifted from Rough Justice, their second album. Here we go, Rock and Roll, an absolute stormer. The song, the A-side, this is, it kind of bemoans the fact that there's not enough rock on the radio, and you know, you can write to your local station, but they don't understand, won't play the things you ask for, they play the same old plan, clapping up the airways with tunes we don't want to hear. And I can understand. I mean, these days, you know, yeah, mainstream radio may be a pile of pants, but, you know, you don't need to go mainstream radio these days. There's internet radio, there's specialist stations, digital, like Kerrang and Planet Rock. A lot of the community stations will have, you know, like BCFM that I'm on, will have, we've got 2 rock shows on us, there's me and Andy Fox. So, you know, you can get rock on the radio these days, but yeah, back in these days, you had Tommy Vance and Fluff Freeman, and occasionally, you know, people like Whispering Bob Harris will spin a good tune. And then if you want the punkier stuff, you want to John Peel. But, you know, there wasn't a great deal of choice, and it's been most of the facts. B-side, Death Row, got a lovely intro with narration by a guy called Trevor Ainsley, actor, going on about, you've been found guilty of playing heavy metal, rock and roll, and you enjoyed it, kind of thing. Yeah, too young for the bowl, too young to die. Great head-banging boogie numbers. You know, you knew we were with Spider, saw them live a few times back in the day, and, you know, these guys delivered many times over, and both of these songs still remain two of my favourite Spider numbers. Yeah, Spider. Here we go, Rock and Roll and Death Row, 1984. Okay, our penultimate one. We're going to go Geordie. Here we go. It's a really good nick, this one, considering it's an original. This is Too Wild to Tame by Avenger. There's the front, the sleeve. There's the back of the sleeve. On the rocks is the bonus cut. There's the disc, neat records. And the thing is, you can tell with my record collection, the stuff that I used to DJ with, and the stuff that used to get humped around in boxes, quite often because I don't drive in taxis quite often, and the stuff that kind of was in the collection that didn't come out much apart from your play. You can tell the condition of them. This is one that didn't really come out. Because it's not a bad track. It's not my favourite Avenger. Avenger aren't a band that I'm really, really mad about. They're good. Don't get me wrong, this is 1983, this single. They're good, they're entertaining, but, you know, there's other stuff that I prefer to these. These call themselves athletic rock. Yeah, they're from that kind of same northeastern scene that gave us Venom and Raven and Warfare and Dead Ringer and all those kind of bands. Yeah, Sight and Neat Records, another one of those seminal, you know, British heavy metal labels. I think this album's off their, I can't remember the name, what we just called Avenger, Bloodsport's album, their first one, that's right. I think this track's originally off that. I don't think the B-side is. I think the B-side remains unique to this. Yeah, not much else to say, really. It's a bit of a headbanger. It's a bit fun. Not exactly seminal, but I threw it in just because I dragged it out and gave it a listen and went, yeah, that's not bad. Not brilliant, it's not bad. Yeah. Avenger, 2 water time, 7-inch. 1983. Leads us on to another one that's not exactly new over British heavy metal, but I just pulled this out and I kept going back to it when I was trying to choose from the rack. Gave it a listen, thought, yeah, why not? Motorhead live EP, The Golden Years, 4-track, 7-inch EP. .33 1/3 RPM, as opposed to 45. Yeah, Motorhead's first official live release. Actually, it was their first live release because No Secret to Hammersmith came out after this, and the bootleg recording of What's Wordsworth, which was from, that's archive recording, not bootleg, archive What's Wordsworth, didn't come out until another year or two after that. But anyway, recorded at various points on a European tour throughout 1980, along with all the tracks that would turn up on No Sleep Till Hammersmith. Apparently no one can recall what track was recorded where. It's a 4-tracker, Leaving Here, Stone Dead Forever, Dead Men Tell No Tales, Too Late, Too Late. Came out with very minimal publicity in the UK, but still at number 8 in the UK charts, making it kind of Motorhead's first top 10 release. They then followed that up with Ace of Spades, of course, but yeah, corking little 4-track EP. I have got this on 12-inch as well, and I would recommend the 12-inch. Even though it's pressed at 33, you know, you're compacting kind of, I don't know what's the play times on here. Did it tell you? Yeah, you can compacting sort of like 5-6 minutes of music per side, down to kind of a 45 thing. And you really can't get away with more than about 4.5 minutes on a 7-inch single. So quality's dropped. Apparently there are DJ pressings of this that are a double pack, but I haven't never seen a copy, and they're promo only. So and apparently they're worth big money if you can find one. But yeah, it's not particularly rare, not particularly collectible. So it was a chart success. Set you back about £8 if you're buying it off eBay. But it's Motorhead Live. What more do you want? And it's a classic lineup, of course, of Lemmy, Bill Taylor, Vast Eddie Clark. 4 cracking tracks in their early days. Not much else to say, really. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. I'll be back next week with the show that I would have done a couple of weeks ago, but I had no chance to finish it off preparing it. So Rock Druid 76 will be the one that should have been 75, but do that next week, and that's back to albums and CDs. So until then, hope you enjoyed our singles, and if you did, make a comment, and I'll if enough people say they like the singles, I'll raid more singles. So I've got a massive, great big racks of them over there behind me, up there somewhere. So I shall raid more singles should you want to. But anyway, until next week, peeps, look after yourselves. Happy New Year, and I'm out of here. Bye.